Descending is a song by Tool on their fifth studio album, Fear Inoculum, released on August 30th, 2019. Now, this one hits home for me. Before we get started, I want to do a breakdown of every Tool song eventually, because we have covered, I would say, 99.5% of all of Tool's work, and I think we're qualified to speak on our vision of Tool's, or what we see Tool's music as. Now, it's documented for us our first experience with Tool, because our first official introduction to Tool was sober, and I'll never forget the day. Smokey comes over and he's like, "Man, have you ever heard of this guy named Maynard?" And I'm like, "No." He's like, "Dude, you've got to see this guy perform." So he performs. Smokey pulls up the video and shows me the video, and this is our first reaction to Tool. I had no clue. So as we're watching this, I'm like, dude, this guy looks really strange on stage, and he's doing some weird movements and hunched over, but this guy's got an incredible voice. And I said some things in that video that I want to take back, but at the same time I don't, because it shows the evolution of me being a Tool fan. And that's one thing that I truly love about this band, is that on the outside they may look a certain way, but when you actually sit down and analyze and pay attention to the music that they're putting out, it literally, I can honestly say that Tool has changed my life. I can honestly say that. But throughout the journey of me and Smokey going into the deep rabbit hole that is Tool, there are a few songs that just stick with me, that hit slightly different. Now, if you ask any Tool fan around the world, 9 times out of 10, most of them will say they can't tell you a favorite Tool song or a favorite Tool album. They might be able to give you a ranking, but usually that first and second place album, it's like neck and neck. Me, I'm the same exact way. Like one day, for instance, last week, I played Bottom nonstop. But this week it's back to Descending. And if you guys know anything about me, it's Descending is one of those songs. I will say is, in my opinion, one of the greatest songs ever recorded in history, to the point where you can actually go to the YouTube video of Tool's official Descending video. I think I'm like the top comment where it says this is one of the greatest songs ever. Like, truly, I truly enjoy this song. But just to start it out, so going through the whole Fear Inoculum journey, and we heard some great songs off of this. I mean, Pneuma, I'm not going to sit here and try to give a top 5, because I could do a top 5 off of Fear Inoculum, and definitely Pneuma's going to be in there, Invincible's going to be in there, Fear Inoculum's going to be in there, but I think I'm going to have to put Descending at the top. And the reason that is because, you know, Smokey has one of the greatest lines. Not to take anything away from Drake, he's a great artist. But Smokey said, you can't listen to a Drake album and go to the Pyramids. The first time I heard Descending, that blew my mind. Not only did I go to the Pyramids, not only did I go to space, shake hands with an alien, come back to Earth, rode on a sandworm, got in a tornado, but ended up in my seat, and in showing you guys that whole experience was just mind-blowing to me. I mean, the things that this band can do, musically, sonically, I've said it before, but it's literally like a drug. And Descending is the perfect example of that. So when the song first comes on, you hear wind and you hear these waves. I don't know if it's actually, you know, interesting. I read in some comments, and some trash talkers have told me that the beginning of that song, the ocean and the waves and the wind that you hear, was actually recorded at Danny's house in his front or his backyard. But I can't imagine he has an ocean, you know, in his backyard, but it'd be a lake or what have you. Either way, it comes in with this peaceful, smooth, you know, really, really calm, if that's even a word, ambiance. And it just automatically sets the tone that you're about to go through something extraordinary. So after you get this wind and you get this feeling of just, okay, sit down and chill, then you get that bass line, that doom, 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 doom. I mean, okay, Justin on this track, you know, I'll say that in the entire Fear Inoculum album, Justin, I think, is more prominent. And I'd say this and probably 10,000 Days and even Opiate. You know, I think they put more light on Justin instead of putting him in the background. But in this song here, yes, we'll get to Maynard, we'll get to everyone, but this song here, it was in my opinion, a collection of all four of these guys and just putting everything that they have in the forefront. Say, hey, this is what we got. This is some of our greatest work, and we're just gonna let it be known to the world. So it starts out with Justin and this bass line, and then Maynard comes in with these smooth, angelic voices. It's again, so we could say this again, but you hear the way his octave is. It's not a low octave, it's not a medium octave. He hits you with this high to mid to high vocal range, and breathe. Like, it just sets the tone that you're sitting on an ocean, and these waves that are coming up on you is just a warm feeling of beautifulness. That's, in my opinion, that's the best way to describe it. So after getting this incredible introduction to a song that we had no clue, what we were about to get into, before you hear Maynard's verse, you don't even get drums. Danny's like, no, I'm not stepping in yet. Like I said, you get that bass line with Justin, but then Adam, they're playing on top of each other, and they complement each other so well on this song. But then you get Maynard's voice, and after you get that, you later on, I want to say maybe in the 2, maybe 3 minute mark, Danny starts to show his work. Now, in this case here, I know people say, that I could show you some of Danny's greatest work. Some people say, it's from Lotta Rallis, which that's hard to argue. You can't argue. I mean, this guy's one of the greatest drummers of all time. But him in this song, dude, okay, so at the beginning, when it's smooth and calm, and then Maynard builds you up, and Adam builds you up, and then Justin builds you up, and then after Maynard, he's like, you know what, I've said my piece. Justin's like, okay, I'll hang out in the background. And I literally believe that Danny and Adam were in the studio, and they were looking at each other and was like, okay, you want to have a competition? Let's do it. And this was the song that I think that they did it on, because, dude, if you go back and watch that reaction, when those, like, that riff, it's right in the middle. I don't know, maybe it's a 4 or 5 minute riff of just Justin and Danny just going bonkers with each other. It's like Danny's trying to one up Justin, Justin's trying to one up Danny, and they both just take a one up mushroom like they're in Super Mario and become Big Mario and just produce craziness. That drop, when that and then Danny could tat. I mean, I've said it before. It's, I don't have kids, but if I have kids and if I'm allowed to have a song play during, the birth of my child, this song will be played during the birth of my child. And I want it to happen right at that drop, because, I mean, it just, you can see it in the reaction. It's just like a piece of you is just being yanked out of your soul and then being put right back in. That's how hard hitting the drum and the lead guitars on this song. I mean, they can literally make their instruments like hit you, like feel like a complete feeling that you've never felt before. And that's one reason that I've become such a big fan of Tool. I mean, very few bands can actually, I mean, I could name 5, maybe 10, but very few bands. It's one thing to capture your body to where you're moving, but to capture your body, your mind, your soul, to do all that in one band, I mean, that's talent, man. And some people are just born with it. I think these 4 guys, the fact that they met and created this band and came with, amazing music, it's almost like destiny put these guys together just to create phenomenalness, if that's even a word. But with Descending, it's just one of those things where I can put on in any occasion. If I'm on the way to work, I'm going to play it. If I'm going on a long road trip, I'm going to play it. And I can play it for anyone. And it's just one of those songs where I can go back to, and it brings that nostalgic feeling back that I got to share with you guys. And I enjoyed every freaking second of it. Every freaking second. Now, one thing I will say is in the lyrics, and to the trash talkers, you probably know where I'm going here, but if I ever got the opportunity to sit down with Maynard, I'd say, listen, buddy, your lyrics are incredible. Everything I've heard from you is phenomenal. I'd say 99.9% of your lyrics are great. But one word I would change is in the song Descending. The official lyrics say that Maynard says, one drive to stay alive, which I get it. I get it where you're coming from, because he says, mobilize, stay alive. I get it. But if you would have said one, try to stay alive, being a fellow lyricist myself, I would have said try, because you have one try at life. And I feel like Maynard, just listening to his music and watching some of his interviews, I feel like if I sat down like, listen, what do you think about changing drive to try? I feel like he'd be like, okay, yeah, that makes some sense. And again, this is just my opinion. Other than that, the song is 100 out of okay, I can't say 100 out of 100. I'd say 99 out of 100, because that one line, to me, it just makes more sense to say one try to stay alive versus one drive to stay alive. Either way, I don't care. Definitely top 3 of my favorite Tool songs of all time, hands down. Now, what's interesting about Fear Inoculum is, and a lot of trash talkers, they were kind of envious of this. They're like, you guys actually got to sit down and show us your experience to Tool's entire catalog. Fear Inoculum, it took them 13 years to create Fear Inoculum, previously before 10,000 Days. And it's like, man, some people are like, dude, y'all should be lucky that y'all didn't have to wait 13 years. And we're extremely lucky and grateful for that. But the fact that it is at our disposal, it's truly mind-blowing and mind-boggling that we can sit here and analyze every one of their songs. Also, something I want to touch on real quick is, we couldn't wait until we got done with, Fear Inoculum or Lateralus, 10,000 Days, Anima, any of their albums. We couldn't wait till we got done with them so me and Smokey could sit down and actually have a full listen through. I'm telling you guys, 10,000 Days is one of those albums where, I cry. I cry when certain songs come on. I legitimately do. Like track number 2 being John B, and then you have Wings for Marie Part 1 and Part 2. That's when my eyes are like, it's starting to water up, and it's just like, hey, let's jerk them tears out. I know that he had a really, really deep connection with his mother, like I do with my mother, being a mama's boy myself. So to see him put that all on the line on numerous of songs, it shows to me that just adds more of a personal connection, because I go through the same exact thing. Now in Fear Inoculum, I don't know if, going back and looking at it, I don't really know if he's really touched on any personal things in any of the songs, and off the top of my head I can't really think of any. I think Fear Inoculum is one of those albums where he's just talking about, spiritual and life, and, the way you move and the way you carry yourself and the things that you should be doing and the things you shouldn't be doing. I will say, see, I can't say it, man. I was going to say this is my favorite album, but it's hard. Between Lateralus, 10,000 Days, and Fear Inoculum, those are tied for, first place in my opinion. But Descending, I will say, is probably, no, there's no doubt, is definitely top 3 of my favorite Tool songs. Also, a piece of information that I thought was pretty cool, and you guys correct me on this if I'm wrong, but no one knew that Tool was working on Fear Inoculum because of the 13-year hiatus or 13-year layoff. But if I'm not mistaken, I think Maynard actually gave, he spilled the beans and told what the album was going to be called, and it was coming out, was on Joe Rogan's podcast. I think I'm right on that, but if I'm not, please correct me and let me know in the comments. But yeah, this song Descending is one of a kind, and I genuinely believe that this is one of the greatest songs ever made in history, ever. I honestly believe that. Yeah, guys, let me know what song you think I should break down next from Tool's discography. With that being said, my name is Behringer Hollywood 6. Bye. Peace.